Hello, everyone. A bit lower. A bit low. Hello, everyone. I am Dima Starodubtsev from MasterSipe on the internet. And today I want to share with you my ideas on on how to actually design an incentive system for something like a small village, city, growing into the country and state. Yeah, so the background is that what is Siberia? For those who are like never heard about it, it's a idea of the network of future cities. We are building a real thing on Bali in mountains. It's a pretty big development project on 37 hectares of land, and we already achieved some small kind of the physical sustainability around energy, water, and food system, and we start to discuss how we can move further. And of course, one of the part is to understand how we can actually use this new kid in the blockchain, such as token engineering. Yeah. So, in short, I will start to explaining first, like what, like in the most possible simple terms, what is token engineering. Okay. Basically, it's like a good token engineering system have only four methods using which anyone can design the economic model. Yeah, it's mint, burn, lock, and pay, or transfer. Yeah, so the idea behind these four simple methods is basically that it's like the only methods you need to use to program any kind of behavior we use in any token system. Yeah, so like the mint, this happens when you add to the supply and allocate it to some balance. The burn is vice versa. You remove some balance out of circulation from some particular address. Lock is when you actually making not available for some time in the future, and pay is usual transfer we use for tokens everywhere. And well, yeah, using these kind of methods like allow you to be sure that, well, you did enough to like program the correct behavior. So there is a very cool idea in the wild as a supply-demand equilibrium. Yeah, supply-demand equilibrium. What does it mean? It's basically that you're using mint function for supplying some resource if you want to provide some utility for a protocol, or you use burn for satisfy demand. And like the most smart protocols are being built with this idea of supply-demand equilibrium, and I don't think that's our case will be exception. So we will, like when we are speaking about token engineering, we always keep in mind this demand-supply equilibrium idea, which is kind of fundamental and allow to balance out the price as optimization function of supply and demand. Okay. Cool. Some disclaimer. This is the talk. It's not for like entry-level people. I will not explain what these worlds are. Yes, it's like quite complicated topic with a lot of new stuff. If like you want to dive in, like please watch several times, ask GPT some words. So it's not entry-level discussion. Yeah, I just want to, like the purpose, I want to share the ideas which we accumulate like during recent several years while trying to think like what actually are problems of society face right now as civilization, and like when designing the community, the city from scratch, actually how we can use these ideas of mint and burn to program them for like behaving better, yeah. And yeah, I first want to analyze kind of the problems we have. I will not dive deep into the problems. And trying to allocate like the decision we came to like address them. So I think one of the biggest problem within our current society is complex taxation. And well, the public goods are like really important. Taxation is mostly needed. We will implement some form of taxation within our village, within our local community, to have some source of funds for public goods. But I think the biggest problem for current societies is complex taxation. I mean that like when you have this taxation system, it's like we really need to know what and why you are doing this and that bring a lot of limitations, a lot of reporting requirements, and a lot of actually things which are like don't necessarily add the value to this process, but what it does for sure, it's just reduce the like circulation of the money within the system. So like the more you must like the more you tax, the more you ask the question about like what is this operation about, like why you do it. Actually less revenue the local economy can generate. That's like just simple as that. And like we will try to do our best to work with localities, you know, with everywhere where we present, to bring this idea that actually we can seriously increase turnaround of local economy, like and actually increase the amount of the revenue local budgets have and federal budgets have, just by switching from these complex several layers like corporate tax, value added tax, like tax on the salary, revenue tax, etc., etc., etc. So, and if like we would be able to switch from this complex system to something like really more simple, such as 1% from turnaround, yeah, well, it could make life certainly more easier for businesses and entrepreneurship. Okay. Another problem I want to discuss is local overpopulation. Yeah, the previous guys showed the slide that it's only 1% of land, and but 80% of value produced, and 80%, 70% of global pollution comes from the cities. And that practically means that actually most of our activity, most of our population lives in a very extremely dense environment. I believe that this is a problem which is quite easy to solve if you like have some political will. The deal is that the overpopulation lead to a lot of society problems such as poverty, crime, more modern types of slavery. It starts from the idea that actually you need some minimum amount of land to produce enough energy and food to be like more like self-sustainable and like free. Yeah, but if you have this density below this threshold, in the end you will have the society that just don't have personal resources. They must forced to have some jobs, you know, and that leads to like all kinds of negative externalities such as poverty and crime. So simply by managing this density idea, we can set up a system that is actually by design protect the society from having at least some part of problems we face. Okay, so and it's quite easy if you stake for the it's quite easy to solve if you have some amount required to live in the area, in the land, which is bounded to this kind of fundamental limit, which expressed as a relation of this amount to staked to relatively to supply. Yeah, so it's easy to program. It's easy to understand. It's easy to reason. It's easy to adjust, and like the formula is pretty simple. So staking for residency, staking for residency is a very simple way to actually track the density within the society. So another problem I want to discuss is that actually we don't have no collective insurance within the governments. A lot of people are talking about UBI, Universal Basic Income. I researched it for a while. It's not a new idea. It's already a decade in discussion, and I think it's could create more problems than solutions, because like you came to this free rider problem, you came to this low actually you came to a parasitic society if you enable this universal basic income on the scale. There was a lot of experiments which showed like very mixed results. So I wouldn't rely on UB per se. Yeah, what I would do is to enable to use the same staking actually system that we use to control density for generating some low passive income. Yeah, so like if you had this requirement for everyone, for any citizen to stake some capital, yeah, for being the citizen, it's pretty easy to funnel some part of revenue stream of this society, like city, country, doesn't matter the scale. It's pretty easy to funnel for guaranteeing this not universal basic income for nothing, but for universal basic income which is based on capital. It's capital driven income, which is like staking. We pretty almost everyone of us like already used to use to this thing. Okay, so I don't think that we are into the idea of free lunch doesn't exist. Okay, another problem I want to discuss is this broken ecology. Yeah, broken ecology basically means that any economics produce negative outputs in terms of noise, in terms of CO2, in terms of actually like the spectrum of pollution can be vast. But the simple idea we want to like at least try to implement is this idea of sensor network, and we start to build it. We measure some stuff in our village, and the idea is very simple, that actually we can agree that like this is the noise level we would love to have like within these days. Yeah, and if someone not following this noise level, we are measuring each other, the system start to slash the staking of residents. Yeah, so the same stuff can be done for any kind of measurement. Yeah, so what we are trying to implement is this slashing mechanism, which like punish misbehavior that is generally accepted within the community. Like the biggest problem for us is like noise and chemicals in the soil, and probably some kind of the pollution caused by internal combustion engines. Yeah, but it's not only about that. Actually, anything that can be measured can be slashed and hence must be slashed. Okay, so I think it's pretty radical idea, but it's quite easy to implement and automate. And once actually we will implement it, we will show a result. Once and when, okay? So, local overpopulation, no collective insurance, broken ecology, it's the problems we face. And you see like that pretty simple solutions within token engineering, which use only probably lock and transfer already can solve most of the problems like we discussed. High cost of human production, it's very like different topic. I just want to mention that the mint function within the system, so like it's pretty easy to mint the new tokens for human production within society. And I think it's a good idea to discover, to discuss this kind of proof of birth idea for minting tokens of the community. And probably the last thing, which like actually dedicated topic I want to discuss is decision making. We have a lack of freedoms, and the decision making within democratic system is mostly inefficient. So I want to switch to this topic, which is governance. So previously we decided more like token engineering things, so how the token can be used for solving basic, like the most fundamental cases. But decision making is about how using this token to decide on what to do, what to not to do, what is not to do. Okay. I will discuss only cases which doesn't exceed the Dunbar scale. It's really important to understand that governance system mostly doesn't scale. The system, you design the governance system for 7 people, for 10 people, for 100 people, for 1,000, for like 100,000 people, where like must be significantly different, because like on each scale you have like you add to the complexity a lot of problems. Okay, and just for the example, I want to give an example that if you have 7 people who make decisions, you can basically do very efficiently using simple multi-signature scheme. Like 4 of 7 parties with maybe like different thresholding. But when you go to 150 people, it's not that big, but it is the Dunbar number we are talking about. You have at least like you came to at least 10 classical problems which are like really which are described in mathematical sense, and those are problems such as voting apathy. People don't like to vote, are too lazy to vote. Majority and minority tyranny, when some group override the decisions of others. You have limited attention span, so people cannot follow actually the flow of decisions. You like some say that everyone cannot be professional enough for like all the decision made. You have lack of incentives within the system to vote actually. So votes are basically doesn't bring you immediate results. There is a vote buying problems when people pay for pushing their decisions further. Collusions and free riding problem when actually some do some job, others just don't do. So like there's this class of problematic we face when we go from 7 people to 150 people. Okay. And observation from like crypto projects actually demonstrate that this coin voting schemes like at the scale of 10,000 addresses, like or participants with the community, mostly failed. They just don't work at such scale. So and you need, in order to actually handle these problems where like people already invented so many tools such as coin weighting, quadratic measurement, then you have conviction voting, which is kind of flexibly define the timing and different other parameters of voting, time logs, dynamic threshold. So for example, you can have like different amount of people needed to provide a decision for different amount of money involved. Yeah, you have decay voting, so it's not actually exhaustive list of tools people use to solve these problems. Yeah, and still, I don't believe that actually most of these tools are working, and like I will try to explain you why. I here show you this quadrant of governance. Yeah, it's very simple way to convey the idea that you have fundamentally 4 types of the decision making within the like distributed environment. Yeah, well, a lot of people involved. And one dimension to look at this is that in some cases you have no personal incentives to vote. For example, like it's a really good case like democracy. You don't have like you push the button, say yes or no. You don't have immediate results like which measure actually your decision. Yeah, so it's by design doesn't provide necessary feedback for you to understand how you're like making decision. And like there are some schemes that involved personal incentive, for example, Futarchy or like prediction markets. Idea is the way that actually reward you if you are like making the decision that actually work in the end. Okay, and this democracy versus prediction markets is long-standing actually discussion. But this is only one type of decision making within the decentralized environments we have. So I call it like discrete type of decisions. Yeah, what discrete is, but you actually have time-bounded limit for making decision. You make one decision, like the voting passed, like you need to make another decision to like within another time bound. So the problem behind the discrete decision, so like for some cases, discrete voting is like works better when like a lot of amount of money involved or like some like super strategic decision must be made when like all the community must actually decide on some stuff. Okay, important. But for most tasks, the discrete decision-making process is actually not efficient because like we live in a time when attention is super expensive and spending all the attention of all community for all the decision we must make is kind like it just doesn't scale it. I don't think it's already work. Yeah, within DAO I am working and I'm like investing. So like we came to this idea of continuous decision making process and like 2 ways to understand this continuous decision making process is to look on the curve, this mechanism when people stake some tokens to vote for the distribution function. So it's continuously funnel all the tokens which are minted to like according to some proportion. So, but like the problems of these curve-like systems are mostly goes from the same problems democracy is actually goes. So the participant don't have intrinsic feedback and don't have incentive to make this decision. Yeah. So we here come to this idea of shapely value. Yeah. And this is shapely value is super cool stuff from coordination game theory. Bittensor successfully capitalized this idea, creating this token mechanism for redistribution of the mint within the validators who actually verify each other responses during distributed training process. And yeah, well, I think this idea is foundational because it's theoretically sound way to measure the contribution in the system when like there can be a lot of colluding parties. So like a simple way to explain this that the algorithm measures all potential coalitions within the group and find out the best rewarding solution to the output. So it's showed that it's working on a scale of 4,000 validators making decisions within BitTensor network. And actually we make some development, the smart contracts on COSWASM that can be applied for smaller groups to solve the same problems. Yeah, so for example, if we have community of 150 people who want to like evaluate each other and distribute some inflation or like revenue flow according to some opinions, subjective opinions. Yeah, this is an algorithm worth to look at. I think it's not only about BitTensor, it's certainly some fundamental thing that can and must be used within communities who believe that continuous decision making driven by personal incentives does matter. Yeah, so it's actually what I think we will bet on. Yeah, so like we will certainly not will bet on the systems which by design don't have this like personal incentive things such as democracy or gorge voting, and focus on more the systems that use prediction markets or some coordination game theory mechanisms to actually allocate rewards more to people who make better decisions. And yeah, I think I want to discuss one more thing left, is that like that is the most basic ideas about the future. I think the future is less about proactive decision making. It's more about inferences decision making. So like you can imagine that you have this communication layer of the community, like people talk with each other, they like have chats, they are like discussing the stuff, and some execution layer within the community actually monitor everything, measure everything, and using like set of tools such as coordination graphs, it can kind of reason what decision must be made on these discussions, and some decisions are just made in the background, some decisions like will go to this community approval. So yeah, I think it's kind of like more like the future worth to look into. Yeah, so I don't believe in the governance system that will require, you know, pushing buttons proactively. That just don't. It seems that works not so good. It's slow. It's not precise enough. It doesn't work for agentic environments, etc. Yeah. So I'm more in the camp who thinks that decision-making, community decision-making process must be automated, completely automated. And if it can be automated, it must be automated. Yeah. So that is the future we are going. We are not here. We are not there at all. It will take years to actually realize this potential. But yeah, research is ongoing, and I would love to answer any questions regarding the actual stuff I am discussing here. Yeah, the last thing I want to mention is that we have this course on autonomous village construction. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's already 6, 7 lectures within this course during HCT Patagonia. So if you're interested in this topic, follow up and join our group in Telegram. I think it can be it's kind of, sorry, I will find it maybe here. Yeah, join our group to discuss better Siberia future. Thank you. Does anyone have some questions to discuss? Yeah.
What can hello, hello. Yes, Bitcoin. Okay. What can we do to stop or avoid the modern types of slavery that you mentioned?
What we can do to stop what?
The modern types of slavery.
To more modern types of slavery.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I
If you could do anything,
I
government level or.
well, our take is explicit. We think that actually it's likely that current civilization will face serious problems, some fundamental problems. So it takes time for recovery. So it's maybe better to go in some kind of Asimov-like foundation story when you need to start design something new from scratch. It's actually very complicated topic because slavery is it turns out that with modern slavery so it's really cross-disciplinary stuff and economic slavery, like privacy things. And another view is that most people actually consciously accept this form of slavery. Yeah, so it's maybe a good idea to do something with slavery when everyone want to go out of the slavery. But it turns out that actually it's not the case. Some big portion of population consciously accept this kind of the status quo, maybe something like 30, it's just wildest guess, 30-40% probably, yeah. Some 30-40% maybe don't understand that they are slaves, but only small part of actually doing something and yeah. But I think first question is, should we completely getting rid of slavery? Yeah, because one of the if you try to think about broader perspective, for example, ants colony, yeah. Well, they does ants slaves? Yes or no? Yeah, they serve the purpose within the community. They are working hard for some specific tasks, but that is all in the name of this whole colony success. So it's not white and black, I think. Okay, it's not like that. But yeah, privacy and the economic part of slavery are pretty fixable. I told that actually staking for the residency, so for the residentship, the most basic way to remove most problematic parts of slavery, because it solves so many problems with insurance, with economic freedoms, etc. So yeah.
I was curious, you mentioned the Yuma consensus, the bit tensor. Would you mind elaborating a bit more how it works exactly and how you apply it in your case?
Yeah, for sure. It works very simple. So you have some amount of participants. Yeah, for simplicity, let's take that you have 3 participants. Yeah, and you need to allocate some reward. Yeah, let's say it's $100 per day. Yeah, and how you resolve it? Everyone from this group giving weights for each other. So like I am giving like, say like you are working like 5, you're like working like 4, you are working like 3. And all the people within the group do the same. So like we are giving weights to each other. Yeah, the algorithm aggregates this information and as output produce this percent of the distribution, which considered fair. And fair, like not in the subjective sense, but with some proven properties, which actually demonstrated on the price chart of BitTensor. Yeah. So it's quite hard to gain. It is like very hard to game, and you don't have a lot of tokenomics successful which based on these redistribution systems which didn't actually fall, except these Shapley value based algorithms. Like one big problem of this class of algorithms is like extreme complexity, because the algorithm analyzed all coalitions within this group. So for example, if you have 3 people, it's only like 4 possible coalitions. If you have 4 people, it's already like 6, and like the amount of coalition is growing like with like extreme speed with amount of people. Its complexity is n factorial, so it's kind of doesn't scale at all. But like people find out how to work with this problem on like some scale, such as like 1,000 validators. And yeah, it turns out it's working really cool. Yeah, and allow to, you know, to remove some problems of governance systems. So it's not only about AI learning or like, it's just game theoretical thing that allow to distribute some value based on subjective measurement and contributions, which turns out works pretty fine.
Okay, thank you. I was also curious. You mentioned that you have this Siberia project. How far is it so far? You have built. You said you built already some infrastructure there.
Yeah, of course. It's a village. Yeah, so just like to give you some sense of the scale, this is a mountain and this is the land. We actually developing some part of the land. We have like 800 square meters of constructions already. We have some energy system, water system, food system. We eat our own food. Actually, we already discussed that in previous talks I mentioned. Yeah, so if you are interested to come to this group in Telegram and find information.
Okay, I will check it out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for visiting. Yeah, see you.